Welcome back. It's Giant Board time, meaning it's another team history video. So today I'm going to talk about the Anaheim Ducks. Yes, the team that alphabetically would go first goes now. And of course you can see, there she moved her paw. That is Bear, that lump right there. All right, so their all-time leader has changed since the last time I did a history video on the Anaheim Ducks. It is now Ryan Getzlaf, rightfully so, who's retired. 1,157 games played. 282 goals, 737 assists, 1,019 points. I always like it when a franchise has their first 1,000th point player. You play 1,000, you get 1,000 points with one team. It just I like the look of it, and it means stability. There's definitely some of that with the Ducks over the years. Teemu Selanne's number 2, played 966 games in Anaheim, 457 goals, 531 assists, 988 points. Corey Perry is third on the list, 988 games played, 372 goals, 404 assists, 776 points. And after this upcoming season in Tampa, I think it would be nice if when his contract expires, he signed a one-year deal in Anaheim, got over that 1,000 game mark as a Duck, and retired as a Duck as well. Paul Kariya, 606 games played, 300 goals, 369 assists, 669 points. Did not stay as an Anaheim Duck long enough. It's a shame that he left when he did, but he, of course, has his number retired and all that fun stuff. Steve Ruchin, underrated player from his age, 616 games, 153 goals, 279 assists for 432 points. Cam Fowler, 811 games played. I feel old seeing Cam Fowler with 811 games played. 81 goals, 285 assists, 366 points. Ricard Raquel, 550 games, 154 goals, 185 assists, 339 points. He, of course, now with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Jacob Silverberg, 610 games, 141 goals, 168 assists, 309 points. So Silverberg in the top 10. Bobby Ryan, 378 games, 147 goals, 142 assists, 289 points. And Scott Niedermayer is 10th on the list until the day comes when either Troy Terry or Trevor Zegras end up passing him. Niedermayer, 371 games, 60 goals, 204 assists, 264 points for Scott Niedermayer as a Duck. So, pretty strong top 10 list, and of course there are one or two here from the Stanley Cup year of 2007. Their all-time wins leader, well, the 2007 Cup, J.S. Giguère, 206 wins for him in his career as a Duck. Guy Hébert, 173, and then John Gibson, 166. So, unless the trade rumors that follow Gibson around and eventually end up coming to fruition, Gibson should pass Giguère, I would say, within the next 2 years on the wins list. Jonas Hiller, 162 wins, and Freddie Anderson with 77 wins as a Duck before he moved on to Toronto. Their retired numbers list, not that long. Teemu Selanne's number 8, Paul Kariya's number 9, as well as Scott Niedermayer's number 27. Look for the numbers worn by both Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaf to be added to the list of retired numbers. And if Fowler plays there long enough, Fowler will be added to that list at some point as well, you would have to think. And of course, if they could win a Stanley Cup, John Gibson's name would get added to that. A lot of names, actually. But this is a team that's going through a rebuild. And when you look at recent playoff history, there hasn't been anything since 2018. But there's something interesting with their playoff history as well. So 2003 was the first time they made the playoffs since 2000, and they made it count. They lost in the Stanley Cup final in 7 games against the New Jersey Devils. That was a really interesting series. The home team won all 7 games. 2006, when they got back in, they lost in the second round in 5 against the Edmonton Oilers, but they were building up. They added Chris Pronger. That would be what they needed. 2007, they won the Stanley Cup. 2008, they couldn't defend it. They lost in the first round against Dallas in 6. 2009, they lost in the second round against Detroit. That was in 7. 2011, they lost in the first round against Nashville. That was in 6. 2013, they lost in the first round against Detroit. That was in 7. And now we're into the Bruce Boudreau territory. Bruce Boudreau was their coach from 2011-2012 through 2015-2016. 2014, they lose in the second round against LA. That took 7 games. 2015, they lost in the conference final against the Chicago Blackhawks. That says Anaheim. It should say Chicago. They didn't lose to themselves. That's the whole existential question we're not asking today. They lost to Chicago. That was 7 games as well. 2016, they lost in the first round against Nashville. Guess how many games? That's right, it took 7. So in the end, Bruce Boudreau's time in Anaheim is remembered as great regular season success. They couldn't win a Game 7. They lost Game 7 4 years in a row. And so it's that whole Bruce Boudreau thing. Can't lose, can't win it in 7. 2017, the first year after Boudreaux, they lost in the conference final. This one was in 6 against the Nashville Predators. So you can't lose Game 7 if you lose Game 6. There you go. 2018, the most recent season, they made the playoffs. They lost in the first round. They didn't get to 6 that year. They lost in 4 straight against San Jose, who then went up against the Vegas Golden Knights in the next round. So, yeah, the Cup year, 2007, was a pretty big year for them. And it was a pretty big moment for guys like Niedermayer, who, of course, had Cup rings during his time in New Jersey, and now he had one in Anaheim as well. They've played out of Honda Center for a while, and that's an arena I've been to. I get asked a lot about which arenas I've been to, but keep in mind, before the channel's existence, I couldn't afford to go to a Canucks game. So the idea of going to any other building and watching another game, that wasn't even a thing. I couldn't even afford to go to a Canucks game. That was a dream, basically, at that point. So at this stage, I've been to Honda Center, I've been to T-Mobile Arena in Vegas, and I've been to Rogers now in Vancouver, seemingly countless times since then. But those are the 3 NHL arenas. Honda Center, I like. It's a nice arena. It's a big arena too. Coaching history, they have 10 coaches. This started with Ron Wilson, who had a record of 120, 145, and 31, and Wilson kept them respectable those first few years. Aikens is their current coach. 77, 132 is his record. And of course, if Anaheim's going to get over that hump, is Aikens the one behind the bench, or do they look somewhere else? We'll see. The first goal in the team's history was scored by Sean Hill at 4:13 of the second period. That was a power play goal and a 7-2 loss against the Detroit Red Wings. Their most recent goal was scored by Troy Terry at 15:41 of the second period in a 4-2 loss against the Dallas Stars. Their all-time penalty minutes leader is Corey Perry with 1,110. And their season records, Solani, most goals in a season with 52 in 97-98. Getzlaf had 66 assists. It's most in a season by a Duck in 08-09. Solani, points, 109. That was 96-97, so that was not the same season that he set the goals record. Penalty minutes in a season, Todd Ewan, 285 in the 95-96 season. J.S. Shiger, most wins in a season with 36 in 2006-2007, so 36 wins and the Stanley Cup. And draft picks, not a lot to pick from here. They've done pretty well in the first round, so there weren't very many that didn't play 100 games. Their best draft picks, they've had some good ones in the first round, so I'm looking for late round steals, and there's not a lot of those either. Ondrej Kase, 205th pick in 2014 by the Ducks. In 2015, they drafted 148th overall, and they drafted Troy Terry, a player who has really hit that next level now with the Ducks. 2012, drafting 87th overall, they drafted Freddie Anderson, who went on to be one of the top 5 in their wins list. And again, as I said, they moved on to Toronto when they made the decision between Gibson and Anderson. 264th overall in 2001 was P.A. Parento, a player who played a lot more than people might think. But hey, he was a steal for them late in the draft. First round draft picks that have played less than 100 games. Again, the Ducks don't have very many. 2000, drafted 12th overall, Alexei Smirnov. Played 52 games. Right, Smirnov on ice. It's right there. It writes itself. It's an obvious sponsorship deal, and it doesn't. He only plays 52 games in the NHL. Mark Matera, number 19 pick in 2006, never played a game in the NHL, and in 2007, drafted 19th overall, was Logan McMillan. He never played a game in the NHL either. So outside of that, they've been pretty good at the draft table. But again, finding steals has been a thing for them as well. The Anaheim Ducks, of course, currently in the midst of a rebuild, and we'll see where that ends up. But they're hoping to get back to where they were in 2007 eventually. I'd say by 2027, right in time, 20 years after that last Stanley Cup. So there you go. Quick overlook at the history of the Anaheim Ducks, formerly known, of course, as the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, born out of the movie The Mighty Ducks, and originally owned by Disney. Before they got this relatively serious-looking logo. But that being said, they could very well go back to that Mighty Ducks logo. They wouldn't go back to the Mighty Ducks name, but I could see them going back to that Mighty Ducks logo because items with that Mighty Ducks logo tend to sell. They definitely tend to sell well. Although I like this logo, there's a reason that this one stays on the shoulders. It is a popular logo. Even though I've heard a lot of people say they need to change their jersey. It's often cited as the one that needs to change the most, and it might, but I haven't seen that it's going to change this year. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.